3, 2, 1. Mark Walford, you are the founder and CEO of TrustedCare.co.uk. Welcome to the Care Home Show.
Thank you, Simon. Lovely to be here.
Real pleasure to have you here. So let's start at the top. How did you get involved in the care home sector?
Okay, long story, hope you got time. Back when I was about sort of 16, 17 years old, my great aunt who lived up in Kings Lynn, bulletproof Londoner of a lady, about 5 foot nothing, but fearless. She used to be involved with the local community centre in her area, and it gave us sort of real purpose and reason to get up in the mornings. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they shut that. The council did, and she very quickly deteriorated in health, and in literally a matter of months, this 90-year-old lady went from independent, fiercely mobile, able to speak to me over the phone, to needing to go into a care home. Very quickly, her health sort of deteriorated. She had a number of falls. She ended up in hospital, sort of standard stuff, really. And we as a family had to make a decision on a home or a service to go into. Now, we're all based down in Oxford, and she was based up in Kings Lynn. There was very little information available about sort of services out there, what they offer, and we just literally had to go to the local paper, skim through a few adverts, and went, sounds good. We picked really poorly, and she passed away very quickly. So that was sort of a catalyst event that got broadly my family, my mum, into the care sector. She witnessed what she perceived to be quite poor quality care at the service, and it was. She thought she could do it better. So she wanted to get into the sector to try and make a difference and improve people's lives. And she did. She went into home care. She worked very successfully for a number of operators locally. But again, maybe it's just a Walford trait, but again, she kind of looked at it and thought, this could be done differently or done better from what was there at the moment. And she set up her own home care service. That was a few years ago now. I helped her set that up with regards to sort of sales and marketing. I was working in the city at the time, and had an opportunity to get involved and help my mum's business out and sort of set that up. And the same kind of problem presented itself to me now, but on the other side of the fence, so working alongside the operator, that although her business is a local business and the people that she supports are quite local, typical 10-mile catchment area, an 82-year-old lady with dementia doesn't know she's got it, and she's certainly not looking for a care service. So they're not the customer. They are the service user, but the buyer in the decision-making process typically is a relative, quite often a female, and normally lives outside the area of support network necessarily. So I thought, well, this is easy. Well, we're a local care provider, and there must be a place to sort of say, hey, this is what we do. So I jumped online, because that's the first thing I probably would have done if I was looking for a care service. And I was amazed that I could find out more about a hotel or a restaurant or a takeaway than what I could about a care home. So yeah, that was it. That was sort of seeing it from the family's perspective of very poor information available and having to make a decision quickly. And then from an operator's perspective, how do I say, we're here, we're great, this is what we do? There was a gap, and we jumped in. So yeah, with a bit of credit card, goodwill, loans, begged, borrowed and stole, not quite. We did it, and we launched TrustedCare in 2013, initially as an online directory of care services. And it's rapidly evolved now as a business. We're much more of a referral-based service. We work with 2,500 care seekers a month to find care package placements. We've got a professional services arm of the business that works with care providers now. We've got a couple of technology platforms that work alongside sort of CRM systems, call monitoring. So we're trying to touch as many people's journey through care to provide a better service to them, try and help people navigate this minefield a lot easier. That's us. That's what we're doing.
It's interesting. I've spoken with other people about this, that a negative set of circumstances, albeit that on the face of it, that's a negative set of circumstances. Because you've reflected upon the negative set of circumstances, you've learned from that, and then you've worked out, okay, so the learnings that I've got from that, what's the utility in the world? How can we make the world a better place? And it's the hallmark of a good startup, isn't it? You see a real problem in the world, and you think, this needs fixing. It can't. The
problems are life's opportunities, really, aren't they? When you
100%.
look at them from that perspective, and
Exactly.
that was definitely what we encountered. And And sort of the journey that we've been on, every sort of pivot that we've made and every new service that we've developed has been in a reaction to another problem we've encountered or our clients have encountered. And we've gone, yeah, that is a problem. It's not just a problem to you, it's a problem to all these other people. So how can we fix that problem? And in doing so, we've become, we've furthered our journey and achieved our goals that little bit more. So, yeah.
Again, very... I guess this has all kind of come from quite a sad story, but I'm sure that she'd be kind of looking down on you now, being really, really proud of you because of the set of circumstances, because you're helping so many other people that otherwise there wouldn't have been, TrustedCare.co.uk wouldn't have been around and doing all the great work that it is at the moment. So give me a breakdown on the impact that you've had, because every time we speak, I hear kind of the facts and figures and things like that, and I get excited about it. I think it's exciting for other people as well. So explain kind of what that looks like on kind of maybe like a month by month or quarter by quarter basis, the impact that you're having.
So every month, every month we're sort of creeping further and further upwards in terms of numbers. As I said, we're with TrustedCare.co.uk, we're supporting between 2,000 to 2,500 care seekers a month now. Mm-hmm. So what that breaks down as is we have this big online directory, very similar to some of the others, and there is a number one out there, carehome.co.uk. I don't mind name dropping here. They're a great service, they're a great platform. But what we do is a bit different to that. So we have the online directory, but we also have a dedicated brokerage team that works alongside the website users. And this, again, was just an evolution of the platform in terms of I really wanted to see what people were doing on our website and actually speak to them. Mm-hmm. It's all well and good to say, I'll get this many hits and that's great. But actually, how is what we perceive we're doing good? Is that actually what is this actually really solving problems for these people? Mm-hmm. And we started talking to them, and they said, no. It's sort of, great, here's 10 care homes in Oxford, wonderful. Who do I contact? What's the difference between nursing and residential? What's the difference between convalescence and respite? I've been told I need a dementia care home. What's EMI? What's challenging behaviour? All of these things. So the brokerage team now have probably exceeded the website directory in terms of more people come and choose to talk to us directly now to seek care packages. They don't just come through the directory themselves. We now get referrals from third parties, local authorities, CCGs, discharge coordinators. They like to throw us packages that are quite complex and difficult to deal with. I'll give you a great example. There was a service up in Manchester, which is probably going back about 4 or 5 months ago now, which was a leading provider of complex physical disability services, etc. And they were shutting the residential arm of the business. We had this poor lady contact us who was in absolute bits. Her daughter was 26 years old, quadriplegic. She had curvature of the spine that required a rod to be put down her back. She was there mentally but struggled to communicate, so very sad, but incredibly strong-willed. Her mum was saying that she's the brightest soul she'd ever known, and for considering someone in that situation, I think it's amazing. But the council were unable to find a place for her within a reasonable travel distance, because she not just needed to move service, but her care requirements were as such that she needed to be sort of, in essence, bathed sort of laying down. She needed like a shower bed, not just a chair, because she couldn't bend up. Mm-hmm. One of my guys picked that up, and we worked with the family for about 3 weeks, and we found a service, and they've been looking for nearly 16 up until that point. The sense of relief was huge. The sense of enjoyment for Melissa, who was dealing with that one for us, was over the moon, and everybody left that just being like, we did good. We really made a difference here. So we get lots of packages like that are a little bit complex. The majority of our work is around sort of elderly residential. So that's sort of the trusted care side. And then, as I sort of spoke about, we have an offering which we call Trusted Care Calls, which is sort of, it's been, again, an evolution of the business. The brokerage team that we developed, the skills we've got, the customer service expertise, sort of following that care seeker all the way through the journey and being able to provide advice and support to them all the way along the line. We got approached by a couple of operators who said, we love it. Could we white label that? Sort of a recognition that the market obviously moving towards or targeting particularly the private pay individual. the consumer has a certain expectation for the customer journey. It's a very expensive purchase. Coupled with that, it's an extremely emotive purchase. People have got a lot of trepidation going into it. The media doesn't do a great deal for the sector broadly about what's going on there. We hear much more good than we ever hear bad, but obviously people like to focus on that. So the consumer out there who's not in the sector like we are has this great fear of what's going on. So the sort of customer service team and the skills that they have, we white label that now. So we work with about 8 national providers now with respect to sort of overseeing their sales operation, inbound call handling, inquiry booking, visit confirmations, follow-ups. We do this in residential and both in home care as well now. And that's going really good. And it furthers us in the sense of it means that we're touching more people and more journeys through, and we're improving it for everybody. So whether or not it's improving the customer service journey for TrustedCare or Caring Homes or whoever it is that we're working with, it means that we're making that whole process of picking the phone up and going, I'm looking for a care home for my mum, that little bit more, by the time they've hung the phone up, they're a bit more, I've got something, we're sorted, or we're okay, rather than, oh my God, this is just ringing around and not getting the answers that they're looking for. So that's why we do what we do, to make that journey easier.
And because both ends of those spectrum otherwise are pretty clunky, let's be completely honest. Obviously, that was your experience. I have, because I'm now known within my kind of friendship group and family, I'm the guy that understands care. So I get phone calls from people kind of saying, "Oh, there's this set of circumstances. Great, Aunt Hilda's had a fall and she needs to know what to do," type thing. And now I get to refer them to TrustedCare, of course.
Yeah.
Before I'd been told that, my opening gambit would always be it's a minefield. It's really hard to be able to go and understand that, and because every region is often almost completely different, the way things are geared up, it does make it very difficult from a, let's call it a consumer perspective, to educate oneself. There's a piece of Google research called 0 Moments of Truth, and it talks about, they call it the 7-11-4 rule. So any person that's going to make any significant purchase, they want 7 hours worth of content, they want 11 different experiences, and they want it on 4 different mediums, at which point their propensity to buy is basically at its optimum, if you like, up to that, after that point, if you like. Without a service like TrustedCare, you don't have that opportunity to have that level of engagement. You might maybe have a selection of websites and things which could be massively confusing. Again, you could speak to local authorities.
Good luck speaking to a local authority at the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not geared up for success in any way, shape, or form. So the solution effectively helps turn that into a streamlined process. That educates, that supports the usually, as you say, the family member to be able to make a good decision, so that they can be comfortable with where their loved one's going to end up living for in the future. And then from an operator perspective as well, of course, let's be honest, an awful lot of operators, let's call it sales and marketing, that's not necessarily their bag. You might have the kind of
absolutely.
You might have a care home manager that is actually fantastic about that, but that's very much the exception.
It's a very different discipline. It's a very different discipline.
It's almost opposite end of the spectrum, isn't it?
It really is. So there's a lot of onus put on managers to be this all-encompassing, which they have to be, and all leaders of any kind of organisation, business, whatever it is, have to be to some level. But it's somewhat unfair, I think, to sort of expect of them to be providing outstanding or targeting outstanding level care with the CQC, running a team of 20, 30, 40 people, managing the needs of 50, 60 individuals, and be an effective sales and marketing operator, which on all their rights is totally different disciplines. And great if you can find one person who can do all of it to an exceptional level. And there are those out there that do exist, but the reality is that, not everybody can. And, it's sort of going back to what you just said about with the Google piece of research, and people have this time to sort of look at it. Our experience is not that's the case in care. It's a very much it's a panic purchase. It's nobody talks about this as a family. Very few do. To have plans put in place to what to do about it.
Sure.
It comes out of the blue.
Yeah.
I mean, in our journey of doing this, so when I started this, people were much more speculative than they are nowadays, which is amazing because the sector's got more light on it than ever before. So previously, when we were doing this back in like 2014, 15, the average sales cycle was maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks from point of inquiry to admission. Now you're talking, people are picking the phone up to us today to say, I need something tomorrow because mum had a fall 2 days ago. She's in hospital. I've been told she needs to leave. She can't go home and I can't take time off work to come and help. I need a home or a service. So it really is down to a matter of days. I mean, we've got inquiries coming in the morning that are placing in the afternoon. Kudos to the services we can work with that can do that, but not everybody can. But it's definitely becoming much more urgent, the whole process. So people they don't have the time to consume all this massive content, read 20-page CQC reports, compare that to 5 other services locally. It's too much. On top of that, they're trying to organise everything off the back of it, and obviously the cost side. So there's a lot for people to have to kind of digest, and services are not necessarily set up to be able to support that. 14% of inquiries are made at a weekend. Have you ever rung a care home at a weekend?
Exactly.
The reality, they're busy at the home and they've got family coming in at the home.
And I've had people not pick up the phone.
Absolutely.
Plenty of times I've done mystery shopping work and things like that, and it just I reckon probably more often than not, I haven't got through to anyone.
No. So, I mean, that was one of the sort of early indicators that, again, there was a problem that was an opportunity for us, because in the early days of TrustedCare and still now, we track every interaction that goes through the site. So that's not just how many visits you get, it's actually how many calls you get and what was the outcome of them. So we use some very clever technology to do that. But what was staggering is the missed call rate in the evening past 5 o'clock. That rockets up to like 60, 70% at some services. And at the weekends, similar. But look at the sort of demographic of people who are making the buying decision here. They're sort of 45, 55 age group. They're busy themselves. They might have day jobs. They've got stuff to do. They've got kids to pick up. They've got all of that stuff. So they're looking to make contact over the evenings and weekends, more so than ever. We're seeing an increase in email-based inquiries.
Sure.
And the response rate to email-based inquiries is really, really important. If you can respond to that email within the first hour, your appointment booking ratio off that is around about 40%. If that goes to 2 hours, that drops down to about 18%. If that goes to 3 hours, you're into the sort of 8% range now. It really does fall off really quickly because people... If you're not quick enough, someone else will be, us.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be quick,
Yeah,
So
of course.
it's really important that providers have some view around this, because it's like this. People want it quickly and they need it now. So like I said, it's much less of a speculative purchase now, much more of a crisis-driven one.
So that's a really, really interesting point in itself. Have you been able to do kind of any research or at least share any insights around why that time has become so much, the buying process, if you like, has become so much shorter in what is effectively a relatively short period of time?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an element that, well, there's all sorts of factors, and it really does depend on what part of the country you're in as well. I think consumers are becoming more increasingly aware of the cost of care, more than they've been before. And they're still staggered by it when it hits them. You can take that with both sides, because when we speak to care seekers and we say, look, this service is £1,400 a week, there's a sharp intake of breath. Now, I'm a big believer in you kind of get what you pay for, but there is also a level on that we know some services that are £1,400 a week, and the quality of the outcome necessarily from the feedback from consumers is not any different really than the £800 a week service. So up the road, it really varies. It really does. I definitely feel family are more inclined in lots of instances to try to put measures in place to stop the move for as long as possible. So when it does happen, it's really bad. The needs are really acute. The circumstances is quite tight. I think there's definitely a strengthening of the home care market in some ways. There's more people, again, more aware of it as a type of service offering to sort of be that stopgap before people have to necessarily go further down the journey. There are some great providers in the space, and they're working really hard at the minute to sort of try and raise the profile of the sector and what they're doing. I think there's also an emergence of, particularly in London and the home counties, we've literally in the last couple of years, the living care services, some of the big guys out there, or the guys who are sort of raising significant funds to kind of do this. And they've got a really interesting business model and a proposition they're bringing to the market, kind of the Uber for care. It's got its benefits, definitely, and we're definitely seeing an increase in appetite and an increase in usage of these types of services. So kind of there's multitudes of factors kind of playing a part into it, but what I can just definitely say is it is becoming more acute. That window of searching, we're down to decision making done in a week, 2 weeks at most, for a lot of instances.
And I mean, I guess I was going to ask the question, kind of, how do you deal with that becoming more and more acute? I guess that means you just have to be kind of, you've got to have a team that's skilled up and capable and has the right systems in place to be able to make those super efficient referrals. I'm guessing that's the...
And accommodating at all level as well. So it's not just about the feeding into it, it's about the back end side of it as well. I've got homes that I know who are desperate to try and fill beds, but they've had rooms that need decorating for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. They can't get somebody in to decorate it. Either if it's a group structure, it has to be organised at head office level and maintenance needs to be sent. And we're talking sort of 8 weeks before that room's turned around. But at the same time, they're getting pressure from the powers that be to say, you need to increase occupancy, your bed numbers are dropping.
Yeah.
It's like, but there's a perfect storm here. It's not always just about the inbound. We have to try and deliver what we've got here at the same time. Being accommodating for assessments as well. And now, again, that swings both sides, the fact that the pendulum, families need to equally be accommodating. We always try to explain that to care seekers that, if the care home manager's out seeing you, they're not in the home looking after everybody there. So it's a really valuable use of their time to be here. So it needs to be, work for both sides. But, we see examples sometimes where it takes weeks for that to be organised internally. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can be done, but I think it's going to take out the people who are not doing it, and it's only going to evolve the market further. It's becoming more competitive. There was a time when you got a wealthy area, Solihull, and there was one home that was £2,000 a week. Now there's 10. And they're cutting each other's throat for bed occupancy because they've built it all on that, and actually none of them are full. None of them are even 40% full. So there will become this sort of, as more money flows into the sector, more investment money, and people are looking at bottom lines and such, and consolidation of the space. Efficiencies need to be had, and that's not just in sales or marketing. Obviously, you know more than I do across the board.
Sure.
But it's an exciting time because we're sort of facing this wall of people potentially coming into the market, emergence of other models of care, like I said, the live-in care or the home care model, and I think that's going to push us all to improve and innovate what it is that we do to help people.
So we're about to undergo probably quite a big transitional period within the sector. You kind of look at the different models of care. You look at technology. You look at the baby boomer generation kind of getting to a point where they're going to start looking for care in the not too distant future, kind of en masse, if you like. How does that impact Trusted Care?
Again, more problems, more opportunities. Obviously, more people than ever look online to search for care than they have done previously. But at the same time, providers are equally more focusing their attentions on their own efforts, what they can do online. So that challenges the norms to who was there before, the dominance of it. Technology across the board. Technology is great, but it's a tool. And the tool must be used. It's all well and good to have this fancy, glossy toolbox of bits that you can call upon at any time. If you don't know how to use them, they're no different. They're no good to you. So I think it's going to be. It's definitely a great opportunity for all of us to sort of embrace technology, embrace change, and see the big opportunities coming at us, but not lose sight of what we do day to day as well. To be able to kind of get to that stage. There's lots of people I know investing incredible amounts of money in big infrastructure tech systems and things like that. But day to day, the quality, they're not spending money on internal training or recruitment or retention of staff day to day. So you can have this fantastic glossy, care planning system where I can put in how much, liquid's been taken by Mrs. Smith today, but there's no staff to do that. So the technology's there, but there's not the people to do it. I think recruitment's going to be I know it's always been a challenge in the space. I think the profile of the sector will have a determining effect on how that changes moving forward. Obviously, what's going on in the political landscape at the moment is kind of like throwing the hand grenade into the room and shutting the door at the moment. And we'll see. But the only thing that I've ever found is that business finds a way. People find a way. There are an immense amount of really, really passionate people. You sat here and interviewed a great deal of them, and you're going to do some more, who are really focused on keeping this sector not just going, but improving in a big way, and looking at that tidal wave of people coming in and kind of going, how can we be in a position to help and support these people coming into us? That's what I'm focusing on. I want to be able to support 20,000 people a month. I want to be able to speak to 20,000 people a month and find care places for them. That's what we're shooting for. And then once I've got to 20, I'm going to look to 50. That's the level that we're going for here. But we're putting measures in to do that now. But at the same time, it's about focusing on what we're doing today to make sure that the 2,000 that we're helping today, they've got the best possible experience of it.
So strategically, obviously, you've got some big targets in place for what you want to be able to achieve, but how much thought have you given to kind of your vision for TrustedCare, and kind of what does that look like?
So I've always said that I want one day TrustedCare in the not too distant future to be like the number one place you think about online for care services. So if I said to you property, you're probably going to think Zoopla, Rightmove. If I said to you cars, Auto Trader, holidays, TripAdvisor,
sure,
care, TrustedCare. That's the level that I want to get to with what we do. Not as a vanity project, but I really think there's a huge amount of potential and value of what we deliver. I mean, read our Trustpilot reviews, yeah? So you just got to look at that from the customer feedback.
I like all of the 5 out of 5. I see them all the time. I just love it.
They're all 5 out of 5. There's one that's not. But that's really important to me and again, that's not vanity. Actually, I'm more interested in the one that's not 5 out of 5, because I want to know what did we not do well there, and how can we make sure that that's not the case moving forward. Then we're blessed to be able to speak to so many people each month about our service, and one of the things that we're really key about is to that follow-up process. So it's not just we've transacted business, great, you found a service, off you go, that's that. It's about how's things going? What do you think about what we could have done differently? And I take an active role in that, in sort of, contacting the people that we've supported, auditing what we do. How can we drive that forward? And then that's how we've been able to sort of offer more stuff as we've gone on to think, we thought they wanted this, but actually they wanted this. And that's a really important evolution for what we do.
So, big vision, and I like it. I always enjoy hearing about, seeing on LinkedIn kind of what the updates with the 5 out of 5 Trustpilot reviews and things. And when we get together, I get to hear about kind of the evolution of the business and things like that. So operationally, like on a day-to-day basis, what is it you're doing at the moment to help achieve that vision? Kind of where are you at operationally, and what does that kind of? We always talk about step changes, don't we?
Yeah,
operating
absolutely.
models and all that type of stuff. What does almost mechanically, what does that look like in a business today?
So. We're recruiting a lot at the moment. We took on 3 people this week. I think we've got another 3 people starting in 2-3 weeks' time. Strategically, I'm trying to bring up the people who've been with me since the start of some of the journeys that we've been on. I've got a few generals in the business who are incredible operators, not formally trained, not of the sector, not that, but just really competent people who are very hardworking, great integrity, really pride in what they do, and get the job done. And so it's about fostering how can we develop more people like that within what we do, and give autonomy to these people within what we're doing, to kind of run their own. I want all these people. They're all better than me. They are absolutely all better than me at what they do respectively. So we're trying to bring them into sort of, this is your department now. This is your department. I mean, we're all young. This is a new business. We're looking at the moment at, we're spending a lot in technology investment. We're obviously streamlining a lot of the processes that we do. Obviously, the front end of the website's just like the tip of the the iceberg. 90% of what goes on behind the scenes. So we're spending a lot into that to just try and get ourselves future-proof for when we're handling 20,000 referrals a month, 50,000 referrals a month. And at the moment, we're also looking at second site locations at the minute. So we're looking to open up either down in the southwest, because obviously we're based in Oxford at the moment, just outside, or a site up in the north as well. Because again, the structure of what we may well be doing is very much changing to regionality and having that local knowledge bank and that local expertise. So those are all things that we're got in the pipeline at the moment. So yeah, good.
To summarise, lots.
We're busy.
One of the things that you talked about there is about bringing the people up within the team. So how important is the culture of Trusted Care for you?
Really important, really important. We spend too much time in each other's company every day to, you've got to love it. You've got to absolutely love what you do, because it is going to be really difficult at times. We've had some horrific times in the past, and it's only when the people who you're with pull together, and the culture is so important to what we do. Everybody comes in smiling, everybody leaves smiling, nobody's clock watching. We're often making a joke about how staggeringly quick the day goes, and I think that's a reflection of you loving and enjoying what it is that you're doing, and that's across all levels of the business. I got the guys on the phone going, I can't believe that I spoke to 30 people today or whatever, and it's really great to hear that from them. And I made 2 placements, 3 placements. It's really good, and it's just so busy all the time. We're now 8 till 8, Monday to Friday, and over the weekends as well. So much of my team's sort of like, oh my God. But we're responding to the market because the demand's there.
Sure,
People are contacting us at this time. People are contacting our partners at this time. So we need to be there to be able to help them at that time, which is really important.
And from the perspective of how much engineering have you done around kind of building that culture? Because you wouldn't have been able to grow at the pace that you have done without there's a certain amount of design process that goes into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not an expert at this. I'm really bad at it, to be honest. I'm a really bad manager. I am. I'm probably a good leader, but I'm a bad manager. I'm not very technical. I'm not very good at getting appraisals in place and all of the sort of stuff like that. But what I believe really important is I'd never ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't. I make a point of, my desk's downstairs in the middle of everybody else's desk, and I'm taking care inquiry calls too through the course of the day. If the team are busy, I'm on the phone as well. I think it's really important to look for people who've got similar interest, not similar interests necessarily, because you've got to challenge your thinking, but I always look for people who are better at things than I am. And I don't see it as a threat. I see that as I can learn from you. Absolutely. So whenever we're recruiting somebody, standout people to me are people who can outthink me, outsmart me. And I just think that's great to have people like that around you. To a point, but I think that's how we've been able to evolve and grow so quickly, is you surround yourself with people who you want to be in their position one day, and whether or not that's our investors, our directors, our my mentors and stuff like that, or the people who every day I'm with, and we're learning from each other, and we share common interests around sort of personal development, self-improvement, and the long-term goal that what we can do can touch thousands of people's lives and make it really, really different, really good for them.
There's a real solid alignment in there, and again, I do not believe that you would have been able to achieve the success that you have done without having that that kind of common worldview and the wanting to have that positive change that you're looking to achieve in the world. So, what are your values as an organisation for you personally?
Honesty, integrity, hard work, all of that good stuff. We value being able to help people, and I think that's really important. So, that example I gave you earlier of that girl who needed to find a service with quadriplegic and such, and a good few weeks trying to find a service there, and we didn't monetize that in any way. A great deal of the work that we do, like a great deal of the referrals that we make, we recommend to services to whom we're not partnered with at this stage, because it was the right decision, it was the right recommendation to the person. And it's not all about money. It's not. It really isn't, because actually I'm a big believer in good karma and doing things in the right way. It comes around. You know, there's this way that, you know, we were talking about this earlier before we were sat down here, that the world's constantly kicking you, and whenever you seem to be getting up to a position where you think, yeah, it's working, it sort of drags you back down, puts your feet on the ground again, and goes, yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in, you know, what goes around comes around. And, you know, we always say to the guys internally that, you know, every referral we work with, we always recommend services to whom we're not aligned with, who are right for them. Because doing the right thing is more important to me than focusing on the money making or whatever it might be from that perspective. Because actually what happens in the long run is the right thing comes off much, much better for you than just focusing on the you know, the money or whatever it might be for yourselves.
I think somebody even said doing the right thing is always doing the right thing.
It is.
It's
Yeah, absolutely.
it's
I can go.
simple
I
as
can
that.
sleep. I can sleep great. I jump up every morning. Everybody else does as well. It's an exciting place to be because we're doing the right thing. Don't get me wrong. It makes it difficult sometimes. But what that then does is that then focuses your mind again on how to do this better. Go to work for no money every day, and all of a sudden you'll work out how to make money. That's really, really, you know, and I've done that. I've done that for years, not paying myself, and then all of a sudden you really start to work out how you can make money.
Yeah.
But that's doing the right thing.
Sounds like the Robert Kiyosaki book. There's a message in the Rich Dad Poor Dad. I don't know. Have you ever read that book?
No.
Effectively, I'll try and summarise basically. So Robert Kiyosaki is now a very, very successful property guy.
Yeah.
And business investor who's he's got some really interesting books, but he's got his father who's come from kind of a teaching background, and he's kind of a worker mentality, and then he's got his rich dad who's basically his friend's dad who's a business owner, and he decides that he wants to be rich one day, and he wants to kind of change the world and do whatever he wants to be able to go and do. And his rich dad basically says, you can come and work for me, but I'm not really going to pay you anything. You're just going to have to come and work for me. And he does this over this period of time. And obviously this young kid's kind of a little bit like, you've duped me. This is a farce. What he eventually realizes actually it encouraged him to then start to be more resourceful. And generated a business off the back of it. Now I have no idea how to quantify his achievements and stuff like that, but he's got like New York best-selling Times books, and he's got a wonderful property portfolio and stuff like that. So it
focuses your mind not to think on that. It makes you think of what's beyond that and think bigger. You know, I try to do it with my staff, but they want paying every month. But you know, but I was trying to bring a lesson to them. But no, it's it's really important.
So talking about kind of learning from difficult sets of circumstances and stuff like that. Obviously, at a part of your journey, there was a real difficult phase, and thank you for agreeing to talk about it, because I know it must be quite tough. But tell me about the most difficult part of your life and how that's inspired you to achieve what you've achieved.
So just over a year ago now, my best friend, who worked alongside me in the business and had been for a very long time, we've been friends since we were 8 years old, best mates, he sadly committed suicide. He ended up taking his own life for a various set of circumstances that were occurring in time. And at the time when that happened, as a business equally, we was in a challenging position overall, and I would probably say sentiment overall in the company was feeling a bit low down. We'd let go of a few people. We'd tried to sort of lean up what it was that we were doing so we could really sort of focus on how can we get to that next stage. You know, let's cut away the gloss. Let's not focus on that. And then that come out of the blue. And it was catastrophic for everybody involved. Most of all his family, who I'm very close with, but, you know, we were all very, very close with one another. And, you know, it's such a sad set of circumstances because he was such a brilliant and bright person, and we still tell stories every day in the office. His picture's still up in the wall, you know, looking moody like he always was at looking at us. But he had such a great personality, and that was like the lowest point for us overall, that, you know, we thought, what are we doing wrong? And why is this not working? Or wasn't it working to the level that we wanted it to? And then this come off the back of it. And I just want to say clearly, he didn't do what happened because of just this. It was a whole set of circumstances going on in his world. And what it really did is, off the back of that, it's a really strange thing. So when you're at your lowest point, you don't realise you are necessarily, but the only way you can go is up from there. And what happened the next day is everybody turned up, everybody come in, even the people who were not supposed to be coming in that day, everybody turned up. And we basically spent the day crying. We did. We spent the day crying, consolidating each other, and swapping stories and trying to make sense of what had just happened. But in and amongst all of that, the phone was ringing every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. And what was absolutely amazing is to watch everybody wipe a tear away, pick up the phone, smile, because we always say that, you've got to answer the phone, you've got to smile, right? And pick the phone up and go, good morning, you're through to TrustedCare, you're talking to Mark, how can I help? And being able to help people at that time just showed me that the people that I was around are absolute superstars that I would follow into battle all day long, because at the time when it was that bad, we managed to still help people, and that was incredible. And since then, it's not just focused us and what we do. I mean, strip away all the stuff that goes on in life. So much stuff's irrelevant. So much stuff is noise and distraction. And it's definitely focused us as a business that we can do all of this stuff. And, you know, life's short, really short for whatever circumstance, whether or not it's this or not. You've got to make a difference in that time. And, you know, I find it really now, I'm probably harder on myself than I've ever have been. I find it really selfish to waste time. You know, I got rid of all social media, just really focusing my time now onto how I can best support myself, my family, my business, my people around me to do more, and how we can achieve more. Because not everybody has the time that some of us are blessed to have. So how we use it is really, really important. And and that was off the back of that. Like I said, I think that focusing of the mind from such a terrible thing, and not just the team being able to pull together, and it made us stronger as a unit that we can do anything. We've come out. We're now 10 times further on. We probably were planning to be at this stage, and we're not slowing down now. Now it's just a case of we need to do more. You know, let's just keep doing this. Let's just do it as much as we can to help as many people as we can. But it will knock you down. Life will knock you down. But it's just how you pick yourself up and crack on with it.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And thank you for sharing that.
That's okay.
Again, appreciate it. It's a tough story, but it's an important one. There's important lessons in there.
It's horrific. And off topic to this, I mean, it's the biggest killer of men under 50. Suicide is now in the UK. And it's such a devastating thing for everybody, not least the opportunity of someone's life that was gone, and you start questioning your own thoughts about, you know, could I have done more? What could we have done? And, you know, it can be quite self-destructive. And I've seen people fall away from that sort of into their own sort of abyss, really, off the back of it. And it's so terrible because there's so many places in the world where, you know, horrific things happen every day. And you see the kids running up to the camera smiling and playing football. Yeah. And you just think, that's incredible. You know, and we're getting downbeat. I know everybody's situation's different, but, you know, we get downbeat about things like, oh, Twitter went down, or there was a queue for a coffee this morning. Oh wow, I mean, it's sort of, there are real people with real problems, and you only just got to look into our sector as much as anything else, and the wonderful people are in the homes that these guys operate, to see these stories, and they've been through a hell of a lot, so we owe it to them.
100% we do. I think one of the things that sets of circumstances like that teach us is, from almost from a selfish perspective, how to develop mental fortitude, to know that you're going to get curveballs, and it's to your point, how do you pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and get on with it, type thing. So,
and the quicker you do, and the harder you jump back up and smack life back down again, that says how much further you're going to go.
It's interesting because you touched upon what you've managed to achieve from the perspective of like how much faster you've managed to grow, the impact that you've had in such a short space of time. Your performance as an organisation it sounds like it's 10x'd off the back of that. I'd certainly class you and your team as being high performance individuals because you're achieving great stuff and you're growing at a fantastic rate and things like that. what do you define as being high performance?
If you talk to my fiance, she'd be saying 7-day-a-week working, just never switching off from the phone. I think there's a difference between being busy and being successful in terms of delivering outcomes. I often speak to the guys in the office, and like sometimes if they've one of the team leaders has been like, I spent 8 hours doing this report, and looking for some sort of like, well done. To me, I'm like, did it need to take 8 hours? Could what we've said is, I know it might be cruel, but it's not about, it's about outcomes. What do you do? How many things can you change? How many achievements can you make? How many milestones can you clear? That's high performance to me. Whether or not you worked 100 hours to develop that one piece of code that's going to forward you on, or whether or not you worked 10 hours and really smashed it, it's a strange thing. I measure it on outcomes for the guys. How many people we helping? How many lives we changing? It's not just how many calls we're making. How many successful placements are we making? How many people are happy with what we've done? How many client calls are we having where they're going, yeah, I'm loving this, send me more. It's a tough one. I don't think I'm high performance in many ways. Like I said, I'm probably too critical. I think sometimes we all are too critical of ourselves, whether or not we're looking at how we look on a camera or whatever it might be. I always think I can do more, and I think I know I can do more. So I wouldn't necessarily classify myself as a high performance person. Dedicated, maybe.
I'd say one of the most important things about being high performance is being humble as well. So just to throw that one in there. But, okay, so leadership lessons. You've grown the business over when did you establish Trust?
So 2013, it was the royal we for probably a good couple of years. I'd say we really, probably about 2015 when I would say we were proper in that, a proper sense of there was more than one, and we were starting to make some headway a little bit then.
Got you.
So
in and amongst that, you've done lots of growth. You now got a team, a team of people that work with you. In and amongst that, you must have experienced situations of having to become a leader over that period of time. You say that you're more kind of a leader than a kind of a manager as such. What have been your biggest leadership lessons?
Listening, really important to listen. To obviously have a vision of where you want to go, but how you explain that vision is really key to getting people on board at tough times when it's difficult and it's hard. Being able to articulate the vision and the dream, and showing people that although you're not the CEO, your role is more important in many ways because you're actually helping us all to achieve and making sure that that's all. Everybody. My role is about sort of listening to the music of what's happening, but at the same time, trying to listen to that music and then trying to explain to the team what I think is going to happen, and then helping them to kind of make their own decisions in it. Like I said, I sit amongst everybody downstairs in the office. I think it's really important that everybody sees me and can talk to me. There isn't a secretary or anything like that. It's come and talk to me, and everybody does all day long about stuff. I wouldn't ask anybody to do anything that I didn't do, and if there's a difficult call to be made for some reason, then I'll do it with the person who's had that. We've had that a fair few times. It's a journey, and I'm not by any means good at it. I wouldn't say. I'm a really bad manager, as I said earlier. I'm terrible. My guys would tell me exactly the same, but they can get behind me and they can follow me into battle on it, and I think that's really important, and I would I'd do that and more for them, because they are unbelievable. They work far harder than I do. They deliver great stuff for great people and actively every day change lives. I spend a lot of my time looking at spreadsheets and stuff like that, and sometimes I have to take stock that actually what we are doing as an overall, my job's to steer that ship so these guys can help people on that ship along the way. But you have to go through it all. I've fired people. I've had difficult conversations. I've had to go cap in hand. I've had all of that stuff to do, and it's all part of your own your own journey, and that's the most amazing thing for me is getting in some ways is the ability to do that. It's definitely shaped who I am a bit better.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because in a similar way, I've kind of become a leader. I like the idea of having a business, so I set up a business, and then I'm like, well, I've got a team.
What do I do with them?
Yeah, exactly. Like these guys are relying on me to make sure that all this important stuff happens. And you, to a large extent, I mean, I've read 1,000,001 books on leadership. I'm big on personal development and things like that. Watched, shared loads of podcasts and things. So I think I understand some of the principles, but until you actually get into the heat of battle, you just don't know. And so much of it's based around trial and error more than anything else. But when you make those errors, it's a case of reflecting on the situation and just think, what can I take away from this? How can I be a better person tomorrow?
How can I avoid that next time?
Yeah.
Mistakes are perfect because they're great opportunities to learn, and that's it, isn't it? It's just as long as mistakes. I say to the guys, it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. Just what have you learned about it? And if they say nothing, then that is a mistake. Like that's it. You've got to look back at it and try and work out, how can we not fall into that trap again?
That's always my favourite definition that I've heard of high performance. It's not a case of getting stuff right all the time. It's knowing when you've been humble enough to know when you have cocked something up, and then again being able to glean the lessons from it, just so you can make those incremental improvements.
Yeah, absolutely.
On whatever it is you're up to. So, talking of kind of improvements, this is probably something that could have helped you improve as an individual. But what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I've received quite a few bits of advice from different pieces. The piece that just sticks in my mind every time. I was young. I was setting this up, and I was chatting to a guy who I knew, a guy called Bernard Ross, who had a number of sort of interests in medical device companies and all sorts of bits and pieces. And I was in my sort of naivety, sort of saying, how is it that you can do this, and all this sort of, And he just said to me once, and it's so true, and I say to the guys often at the time, he said, the reality is, Mark, is that none of us know what we're doing, really. We're all flying by the seat of our pants in many, many ways, right? All of these guys who you see, big chief execs and everything, they're kind of we are making it up as we kind of going along, particularly if we're breaking new water or going into new areas.
100%.
That's what I say to our team all the time. Like, don't expect us to get this right, because nobody's doing this. We're not emulating somebody else. We're not looking at what like Care Home's doing or something like that and going, how can we mimic that? We're going, what's Care Home doing? How can we do something different to that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So it's new territory. And that is the truth, that actually, we're all flying by the seat of our pants and kind of making this up a bit, but it's having the courage and conviction to sort of follow through with the actions. If you believe enough in where you're going or the outcome of it, there will be so much stuff in the way of that. It's not the classic, it's going to be like that, upwards growth. It's taken years of pounding the pavement, going broke, going, over and over, but having the conviction to stick to your vision, sharing that, making sure that those around you who you're bringing with you are protected as best you can, and delivering on that, and just staying focused to it, that you will get there. You absolutely will. It might take a massive detour and you might end up doing a million other things like I have done, but all the time the goal we're still getting towards that goal, to what it is they're doing.
That really reinforces the importance of having a vision in the first place.
Absolutely.
I've been having conversations with people, not just in businesses, because I spend a lot of time with care home businesses helping them set up their vision for their business, but even people trying to work out what the vision for their life should be. It's trying to map out, where do you envisage yourself in the future? What would your ideal set of circumstances look like?
Yeah.
And I don't think, not that you couldn't live a good life if you didn't, but if you don't know what to set up to almost manage your expectations around where you're going to be in the future, if you set your expectations low, then there's a real possibility that you're not going to achieve what you've got the potential to achieve. I know they say aim for the stars, and if you hit the whatever it is, you'll land on the moon type set of circumstances. It's a pretty basic.
Well, when an
analogy,
archer shoots at a target, he aims above it, right? Because he knows it's going to drop a bit. But I think what I wouldn't want to get to. So I come from my background. I come from my mum's a single parent, and we really didn't have much money growing up and stuff like that. That was just the reality of it. That was a set of circumstances that I was born into. My dad left very early, all that standard stuff. I probably had this label that I was going to go down one set of circumstances in my life, and if you speak to some of my teachers, to whom I still do, they sort of like, yeah, we thought you were going that way, Mark. you were a renegade. But I didn't conform to that because that wasn't for me. I wanted to be better than that. I didn't want to just go, well, life's going to just, I'm just going to go down the route that life's funneled me down to because I was thrown this set of, this is your lot, deal with it. No, because there were so many people around me in the world that, equally got given a crap set of circumstances and, that running the world now. So, why does it have to be for them? But what I don't want to get to is in a place in my life where I look back at it and go, I wish I did, or I wish I tried, or I wish I did that one. Because it's too short. And, what happened a year ago just reinforced that in many, many ways. And, it just, again, have that vision, know where you want to go. The vision will change and the goal will, because you will. There was a point where I would have been delighted to get to the position that I'm at now with regards to where the business is and, what we do. Now I'm like, it's not good. It's not good enough. We're not there yet. We're nowhere near yet. And I wonder in myself whether or not I will ever not have that. I'd hope I don't lose that, actually, because then you're always going to be busy, aren't you? You're always going to be changing what it is that you do. And you meet new people. You meet amazing new people along the way. And as you keep going, you meet more people and you experience more things and you learn more stuff. And I think that's fulfilling.
It's fantastic, isn't it? We were chatting about Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger.
Yeah.
I think Warren's 88 and Charlie Munger's 93. They're guys that run the big investment firm, Berkshire Hathaway and things. Yeah. Those are two guys that have literally been living out their vision like on a day-to-day basis. And you couldn't hope to meet two kind of happier, more fulfilled people if you...
They're content, aren't they? They're happy.
If you could possibly, you could possibly hope for. So those are just kind of two examples of the people that are kind of probably in the winter of their life, albeit they certainly don't act it, who they've achieved things that other people might not have because they looked out into the future and they thought to themselves, what can we do? What's the positive change that we can make in the world? So
why do you want to stop? Why stop?
I don't want to retire. That's one thing that I keep on there.
Doesn't pay enough anyway.
Precisely. Yeah, this is a very, very good point. Albeit I'd like to think that I could if I really wanted to, but I just like what I do too much.
Yeah,
I genuinely do. And if you're not doing that, there's a whole analogy. I was chatting to our friend Adam Hutchinson about this the other day, and he's like, why would you do something if you think that Monday sucks?
Yeah.
If you have to drag your ass out of bed on a Monday, you're doing the wrong thing. Like that's
he's
the
always
world
got so much
you.
energy. I'm a massive admirer of Adam. He always bounces around a lot, and he definitely he loves Mondays.
Yeah, there's a man that loves Mondays for sure. One last thing, just before we wrap things up. If you had one piece of advice for somebody wanting to get into the sector who was looking to make a positive impact on the sector, what would you want to say to that person?
There's opportunity in everything. There's lots of opportunity across the sector. I'm very blessed that I get to go and see lots of different services, all different types of services. I speak to owners, operators, managers, regional teams, and there's huge opportunities in many places, from technology to care quality to service provision to stock, whatever it might be. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Sometimes it's easy to be distracted early on with there's too much stuff here, and carve out a niche that you're known for, become good at, really focus on that. And what you can tend to find from there is that you can channel off some of that development that you've experienced or contacts that you've made to enhance the next stage and the next set of circumstances. I think it's going to be a difficult thing for a lot of people. I found very early on that I was sort of this young guy, you've probably had it as well, coming into an older sector, deemed particularly to begin with some sort of skepticism, some sort of, we've been doing this 40 years. Great, how dangerous a mentality is that? That's
probably been doing the same thing for 40 years, so you've only really got 1 year's worth of experience.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to get a lot of rejection, you're going to get a lot of pushback. The sector's going through a turbulent time. It will continue to go through a turbulent time. People won't have as much time for you as you might like for them to have as much time for you. But start solving problems for those people, whether or not it's on the provider side or the consumer side or wherever in the care seeker side. Stay focused to your goal, start solving problems for people and really helping people. And from that help, opportunities will emerge. off the back of it, and just stay focused at it. Yeah, there's a lot of really great people in the industry, huge amounts of them, and they're busy. They're busy people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But they, if you're ideating your proposal, your proposition's good, they will listen, because we all need help. I'm happy to listen and happy to help as many people as I can. From people come to me with ideas, and that's really important that we help each other. To help everybody.
I think that's great advice. Mark, it's a pleasure to have met you, to watch the kind of trajectory in the relatively short time that we've known each other. It's fantastic, obviously, to have you as a sponsor as well for the show, and it's been an absolute pleasure getting to chat to you today. So thank you so much for your time.
No, likewise.
Pleasure.
Thanks, mate.
Really good to see you today.
Take care.